first of ever, Vampire the Requiem. Why is it always a good first game to get into? Because does anyone not know what a vampire is? Blood sucking, you don't age too well, you normally avoid fire and sunlight, there you go. The rest of it is just the delicious narrative fluff that White Wolf Publishing and Onyx Path pulled in together. How do you start off by being a vampire first off? You are a regular person, you bring up your character sheet, then you do the prelude, you die. Vampire comes along, spends a willpower point, or they just dribble a little blood into your mouth. You rise as one of the undead. What do you get for being a vampire? More super senses, strong, fast, resilient. As being a vampire, you take the same damage from getting stabbed or getting shot with a gun as you do getting punched in the mouth. They're good at what they do. What else do you get as a vampire? You get a dice pool. Your morality table is now replaced by blood potency, if you will. Blood potency is how efficient you are at using the blood. We'll talk about the blood in just a moment. Basic rules of a vampire. You sleep during the day, you wake up and eat people at night. Your mana pool becomes how much blood your body can handle and how good you are at processing. At blood potency 1, you can pop 1 blood point around and raise one of your physical stats and go to town on someone's face. You can go anywhere from 1 to 10. At 10, you have 50 blood points, so you can pop as many as 10 in a round just to activate whatever power you want. Here's the problem with that. You are forever a monster of addiction. Here's the issue with the blood. It's possibly sentient, the thing running through you that's keeping you just a step ahead of all the hunters, werewolves, and other humans that might start trying to stop you. The idea with vampires is that it is addicting. When you bite someone, they get influenced by the kiss. That felt so good and I don't remember it happening, but I want it to happen again. It's the only time a vampire feels alive and awake and all their senses fire off. You want to do it again. And again, and why won't the cheerleader get back up? Whatever, get the shovel. No, I don't because I think I used to know it. Get the shovel anyway. The other issue with the blood, it always wants to spread. It wants you to create more. You can feed your blood into living people. They can become your ghouls. Here's the issue. You can share blood with other vampires because why not? You're draining. You need to pop that blood to heal damage. But then you become addicted to the person. It's all about a game about addiction and very unhealthy codependency between Yes Master and the vampire above, or Yes Master and the vampire that told you to drink from it. It makes you stronger, faster, better, bleeder. What else should I tell you about? Is that you can always communicate with the blood directly or indirectly through your terrible daydreams. The issue with the blood, it wants you to do bad things continuously. It is always scratching and pleading at you. You might just see a big enough bonfire, freak out, and the blood says, it's okay, I'll drive for a while. Either hunger frenzy or murder frenzy. Then you just kind of come out of that. Well, was that fun? It was for me. See you in 2 weeks, Dan. It's a game about social intrigue, and what made Vampire the Masquerade stick around so long was that it built in so many different social structures. Vampires all run a city. There is a prince, whatever gender it ends up being, it's the prince. They've been ruling for a certain number of years. They have a sheriff, they have a whole court of primogen, someone from all the different vampire clans, which is the subdivision of the vampires based on their abilities and possible clan origins. From the 13 of Vampire the Masquerade got filtered down to 5. It was so much more glorious because it built more boxes into which you could be more creative. And that's not to say that someone can't just create their own divergent bloodline and develop their own powers. Because as I said, the blood is nothing if not flexible. Give and take. I need more power. I can give you some. Last time you did, we ate that cheerleader. Yeah. And now you have her phone. So now we have more friends. There's always a set social structure. Within Vampire the Masquerade, there's the Invictus. They've been around since the ancient Roman days. They're the old Mafia run. And then you've also got the Circle of the Crone, which are these female monster blood magic worshipping psychopaths. Or you've got the Lancia Sanctum, who are literally the Roman Catholic Church, but vampires. They learn blood magic as well that punishes the wicked. Don't you love the Catholics? Don't they always find a way to... All right, moving on. Vampires are also guided by a lot of social laws that are counterintuitive to your instinct as a vampire. You're constantly rolling resist rolls for you to not completely devour the person that you just need 1 point from, just need 2 points from, and the blood says, I want it all! Whatever Lola wants, Lola gets. Oh, another dead cheerleader. We're just gonna form them into a pile or a pyramid. Aw, they died the way they lived. In a pile. Set it on fire, freak out! some of the rules of vampire society do not make more vampires. Well, issue behind that, do not expose vampires to people. One of the ideas of the Masquerade is that this is a far more dungeonous, dank, evil world than it is. The corporations are way more powerful, the biker gangs are way more prevalent, the poor are way more poor, the shadows in the alleys are that much darker. That's one of the main courses they're trying to go for. Vampires don't show up on a lot of social media or a lot of cameras or a lot of securities. That becomes the issue. But screw that and the social laws. They're trying to prevent you from having as much fun with the blood as possible. What kind of vampires are you going to play? You can play the Deva, which are your typical Stephanie Meyer bitch tards. They are super strong, super fast, and their power of majesty just says, oh, look at me, and everyone wants to. Everyone wants to follow you. Everyone wants to see you as their idol and stand up and protect you and do whatever you tell them to do. As I said, very unhealthy relationship with the herd, with the rest of humanity. We still got time. They share a couple of powers with the Gangrels, some of my personal favorite clan. The Gangrels are the soloists, the ones that return to nature. They are super sturdy, fortuitous, meaning you can just stab them all day and they're not even going to feel it. They also command and summon animals because you are more in connection with the beast than anything. The Deva are the most connected to humanity, the Mekhet are most deeply connected to the shadows, the Nosferatu are most connected to the alienness of being an undead crypt monster. But let's go back to the Gangrel. They will start developing wings and gills and powers just temporarily for the night, just to help hunt down the prey. Protein allows you to transform into a giant bat, a giant wolf, blood-sucking pile of mist that just goes through all the windows and all the walls. Until when? Till the blood drips down my moving on. Gangrel are fun, because they're the ones that you can't kill, versus the Mekhet, the ones that you never see. The Mekhet and Nosferatu share an amazing ability called obfuscate. I can stand right here talking into the microphone and you won't know it. The quote that they give to Clan Mekhet is, I know you can't hear me, but this is how you're going to die. Their Auspex ability let them see into Twilight, where all the ghosts and all those death stains exist. They have super powerful senses until they can eventually project their mind into someone else and walk around during the day. They also obfuscate. If they touch an object, it can no longer be perceived. People just look over it, it doesn't exist anymore. Can you imagine how dangerous that is? You walk into a hospital room and you just say, no one can see you now, have fun bleeding out. Walking away, not today, disco lady. The Mekhet are possibly Egyptian, but they're creepy. They hide in the shadows. One has been living under your bed for the last 10 years. That's why you're possibly anemic, but you'll never know. Sharing that power with fading into the darkness or the Nosferatu. They're the super strong alien. Imagine Shadow the Vampire Nosferatu, Count Orlok. You've got the freaky ears, you've got the freak. Your blood gets transformed and your body shares that sort of evil physical scars. So why should you even bother dealing with humanity? Just dig your tunnels, you're super strong, doesn't matter. You've got Obfuscate and then Nightmare. Nightmare just says, it's a bit of like demontation, which the Malkavians had in the first version. It's a psychic attack. You give people dementations and derangements left and right. You can also start doing physical damage by looking at people in a funny way. Versus the best characters, which are the Ventru. The reason you want to play the Ventru, they played in the long game, they have the power of fortitude, which makes them more resistant to the constant assassination attempts that everybody throws at the Ventru. The Ventru also summon and command animals, but in addition they have the Killgrave ability from Jessica Jones. They have Dominate. Dominate says you make eye contact, you say stand, and the person says, where? You tell them to jump, and they say, what shark pit? You erase someone's memory with just a, there you go, the last 3 months are completely gone. In fact, let me erase those. Your mom is named Daniel, and I'm your dad. That's what they believe now. You can set up triggers with domination. You can set up all these complicated games with your ghouls, with the humans, with the kind around you. They're great for a getaway. They turn themselves out to be princes. But here's the best part. Here's what I love about the Ventru. Ventru plus time equals paranoia, which equals psycho vampire. So the best part about being on the top, everyone wants to push you down. The best part about Vampire the Requiem, everybody thinks that they can do your job better as Prince, as Primogen, as Sheriff, and they will do anything to claw and bite and tear their way up above you. This is a game where you are staying and hiding in the shadows, staying and hiding away from the people you love and the people you trust while trying to obey these insane social rules put down by someone who, you know, it worked for us when Genghis Khan. It'll work now in modern day New York. You sure about that, Dad? And that is Vampire the Requiem.